What is up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be fitting my R&G frame sliders, crash bobbins, crash protectors, whatever you want to call them, to my 2012 Aprilia Tuono. I'm quite handy when it comes to working on my bikes. I do all of my own maintenance and stuff like that. However, obviously I've got a new bike which I paid a few £1000s for, and it's a bike that I'm kind of a little bit less confident or less eager to go in and start tearing apart. So before I've got started, I've gone through the instructions about 4 or 5 times, and I've set up the bobbins and the frame assembly just so I can get a good visual idea of how it's going to look when it's on the bike, and I can be a bit more strategic with planning how I'm going to get it onto the bike without hopefully causing any damage to the bike or myself. Anyway, so I've decided to go for the frame sliders that come with a kind of anodized, I'm not sure whether this is aluminium or what, but it's an anodized mounting bracket as well, just so that it saves you bolting it in through one of the holes in the frame, because my biggest fear is if I come off the bike and the frame sliders make contact with the ground, if it's only bolted in at one point, there's quite a high probability that it's going to bend the frame, and that's going to kind of render the bike a write-off. So with these ones here, you've got 2 mounting brackets that go into the frame, or mounting bolts that go into the frame. So hopefully, if, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but in the event of an off, it's only going to bend the bolt that's securing the bobbin onto the frame rather than the frame of the bike itself. Whoops. Anyway, I'm going to go downstairs, get started on this, and I'll see you in a minute. So the process is pretty simple, guys. What you're going to be doing is removing these 2 engine mounting bolts. And when you do that, you want to be careful that you don't lose the spacers behind them where I'm pointing to now. Now, the spacers are only on the right hand side of the bike. You haven't got to worry about them on the left. These are a 13mm bolt. You want to make sure that you get a good amount of torque on the wrench when you're trying to crack these bolts open. What I would probably recommend to do is to crack them both and then undo them each a little bit at a time so they come off nice and even. Now, when you've got the mounting bracket, you want to make sure that if you're on a 2012 Tuono APRC, that you're using the thicker 13mm spacer as opposed to the 9mm one. Offer up the assembly to the frame itself, making sure that the spacers go into the lugs of the frame. And then what you want to be doing is gradually tightening up both bolts, slowly, and then once they start getting a little bit tighter, get your torque wrench on, and you want to torque them up to 40 Newton meters as stated in the book. Once that's done, guys, what you want to look to do next is to secure the bobbin itself onto the assembly. So I believe that's a 17mm bolt. Okay, you want to nip that up and then torque that down to 40 Newton meters as well. It's exactly the same process on the other side. Just remember, on the left side you use the shorter bolts that are supplied in the packet from R&G, and on the right hand side you use the larger bolts. Other than this, guys, nice and easy, nice and simple. Once that's done, just make sure everything's tightened up, torque to specification, and that's pretty much it. So as long as you make sure you read your instructions properly, make sure you've got all of the washers in the correct places, you'll have no problems with this job whatsoever. If you like this video, guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and I'll see you back here next time for more content.